So we begin another episode of the Grit and Grime Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, as always, David Sagoe. Here, running threes. It's in the Olympics this year, isn't it? 3-on-3. We've got a nice team. I'm gonna run the point, pass it to my shooter, Thomas Arnal.
Swish.
Swish. Thanks. I thought you were gonna pass it to me.
No.
Oh, for you to kick it out? No. I'll pass it to
I gotta go get the rebound.
And then yeah.
I'm a black hole. Once you give me the ball, it disappears.
After it clanks off the back iron, you pile in with the offensive board. Jose, Garcia, Vidal,
and I get the foul.
He gets the
foul. The offensive foul.
The offensive foul. Go.
And we have to get back on defense.
And we lost by 10.
Hey man, 10 in a game to 5 somehow. Oh man, I thought I might have hopes of playing this weekend, but my hopes were dashed again. Yeah, I thought we could move it to Sunday, but it's not going to be the case.
Okay, it's okay.
Anyway, so we'll be playing on Saturday. We are also taking part in our playoff challenge, the Grit and Grime playoff challenge. Some of us are anyway. Some of us are protesting the playoff bracket.
I got tricked by technology. Technically, I'm number one. So
technically,
there's no special technicalities in the real world.
No, I mean, if there's a reward, you wouldn't be getting one.
Technically means
I don't need rewards. I know I'm the best. I know I'm winning. I don't need your accolades.
Hey, you can tell yourself whatever you need to go to bed and sleep all night.
Oh, did you look at that? Oh no, it just puts my name top. So when we look at the rankings, we have Jack Kings from Sacramento, UK fans on top with 2,000.
You mean second?
Points.
You mean second?
On
second.
top. Tied for second, you have UK Bucks. Shout out to them. They do merch and all kinds of stuff for the Bucks. Get it while you can, while they're still in the playoffs.
Whoa! Boom! Low blow.
Also tied with yours truly, me, and Michael Downey, who couldn't be here tonight. And then tied in fifth, we have Jose. We have AB over at the Clutch Pod. We have Q, former guest on the show, friend of the show also. And then bringing up the rear, we have DK. Jay, also former guest and friend of the show. Man, he only wins on weekends. So we are still in playoff mode, man. It's still going. It's still rolling. I'm not crying. Yeah. You're crying. Nothing happened last week. Everything's fine. But we have ended the second round. Some teams fell by the wayside. I don't really know who they were. There's been some games so far in this second round. So we're going to break down those series. I think we'll kick things off with the only series that hasn't actually tipped yet. They'll tip shortly after we record this podcast. So I guess we can just run through who we think is going to win and why. We have the Utah Jazz versus the Game 7 winners, the LA Clippers. What game the Game 7 was? What was that? Sunday night.
Sunday.
Kawhi came through and got them over the hump. There are, I don't even know if they're rumors. There's word that Mike Conley has some hamstring issues and may or may not be fully healthy to start the series. So be sure to take that into account. And if I look back at my, do I have my bracket here? I do have my bracket here. Who did I have to win it? Make picks. So initially I did have this matchup, luckily. one of the few that I did get right. And I had Clippers in 6.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be tough. If Conley is hindered, I would probably stick to Clippers in 6, being the team that doesn't have home court advantage, especially considering how badly they've played at home. I think that there isn't really anyone out there to really put the clamps on Kawhi. I think that's where they're going to struggle. And then it'll be interesting to see how they deal with getting switched onto Gobert and stuff like that. Their strategy is obviously going to have to change away from attacking the paint like they did against Dallas. But they like to shoot mid-ranges, and they're one of the best. Well, they are the best 3-point shooting team in the league. So this series is going to have a crap ton of threes. It's going to be ridiculous.
ESPN just said that the Jazz have ruled out Mike Conley for game 1. So
wow,
right. So there you go. So you think the Clippers definitely take game 1 then?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't think the Clippers definitely anything. That's for sure.
Well, if we go by the rule that, you know, let's just go and think of what you two actually said before the playoff started, that the team that has more games behind, you know, is like rolling and, you know, the rhythm. So exactly, momentum is the key word. If we go by that, the Clippers should win anyway, right? Because the Jazz have had, what, a week? 5 days off? Yeah. And historically, that happened to them 2 weeks ago when they lost against Memphis.
Yes.
They lost against Memphis, like Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Right? So we're talking Kawhi Leonard, we're talking Paul George, we're talking Rondo and Zubac, who's great. And I think the Clippers will take this game 1. But my question to you, Dave, is, do you think Conley is going to make a massive difference during the series for the Jazz to be better? Because you just said if Conley's out, the Clippers take it. If Conley's in, the Clippers still take it?
I think they do. But I think it just becomes a lot more difficult because actually I think Conley has been, like, his chemistry with Gobert has improved so much, and I think that's a big reason why they won so many more games this season than they did last season, where the chemistry and the fit didn't quite work there between the post and the point. Whereas now I think that dynamic really helps them and would have been really useful against the Clippers because they have Zubac down low, but Ibaka still isn't healthy. Right, he barely played in that last series. They tried to run him out there for a little bit and then realized it was a bad idea against Luka. So it'll be interesting to see how Gobert puts pressure on the rim and also how they handle not having Conley out there to feed him. Mitchell's also coming back from injury. I know he had a couple of games in the last series, and he's had a more of a chance to rest. But I just think they're just not all the way 100%. If they were to get the 100%, they might well end up being, it might be too little too late, right? They might already be behind in the series. Yeah,
I mean, I think the Clippers have a really good, you know, rotation like a team, but the Jazz do too, you know, like
they do.
Conley's out, sure, but you still have Clarkson coming out of the bench. And you know, Ingles, Bogdanovic, like it's just scary as well sometimes, you know, because even on game 1 where the Jazz lost against Memphis, Bogdanovic scored like 40 or something. I don't know, like it was crazy. Not 40, but had like a second.
Wasn't that the game where he had 29 in the second half?
29 in the second half, correct?
Yeah,
like, you know,
scoreless in the first half.
So he can still be like, you know, this burst of shooting and can and Zubac, as good as he is, I don't think he can, you know, be a massive difference when defending Gobert. So Gobert can still have, you know, like 12-15 points. That's all you need from him, right? And he's gonna get them.
Thomas,
I had the Jazz in 7, and I think I should be consistent and go with what we say, which is go into a series with the momentum, and I think I have a sneaky feeling that the Clippers might get game one. I don't want them to, because I want the Jazz to get revenge on my boy Luka. I just want them to.
Oh my God!
They gotta pay the
You're
price.
Taking it too far, man. He's out. That's it. You don't have to vouch for him anymore. Like, he's out.
I still do. And, yeah. Anyway, so I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, Kawhi's been unreal. Like, I think he shot, what was it, like in game 7, 60, almost 70%.
Unbelievable.
Like, he couldn't miss. And I mean, Dave said it anyway before, like in the entire series, like he can't miss a shot. Like, he can't miss. It's just unbelievable. But I read this article that's quite interesting in that in Kawhi Leonard's lowest effective field goal percentages in the last 2 seasons. His worst performances are always against the Jazz. So he's shooting around, I think, 46% usually during the season, but against the Jazz in the last 2 seasons, every single game, he's averaging 35%.
Wow.
35%.
Ooh.
So
see how that worked out for your Knicks.
Yeah, exactly. So he's and then Boston and Phoenix and Portland and Milwaukee are the other teams that are getting him to shoot below 45%. So you've got in the playoffs still, you've got Phoenix and Milwaukee, but Milwaukee, I don't think we'll talk about them, but I don't think that should be an issue. So it's still Phoenix.
Hey, that's
and
what
Utah.
we said about the Clippers.
True that. So there's that hope that defensively they seem to have the formula to get it, get in to shoot badly, but then it's quite a drop to go from 70% in the series to 35%, right? That's half of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you see him missing half of his shot that he's been getting, and like all of his the mid-range twos he's been making is just absolutely just chill. Like, he was just it's like when we play, and it's automatic. It's unreal. And that said, on the other hand, you've got Clarkson and Ingles that have not been shooting really well in these playoffs. So they might be correcting that after almost a week of rest and training sessions. And
the training, like, he's just shooting 2,000 shots a day. Like, I can imagine them doing that. Like, and Ingles is a really consistent shooter, actually. You know, he didn't have a good series, but he can easily have a good one.
And Clarkson as well. He's been on fire the entire season, so there's no reason why he would just stop. I mean, there's a reason why. It's Kawhi being on Clarkson, so that could be a reason.
Clarkson did tail off. Do you know what? To be honest, I didn't track him during the playoffs, so I don't know if he's back to shooting how he did earlier in the season. But he did tail off in the latter part of the season in terms of his shooting percentage, because he was like shooting the lights out for the first half of the season. It'll be an interesting series, right? Like, the Jazz just have so many weapons, and then the Clippers' weapons are so good. Like, it's going to be a really interesting series. And Joe Ingles has history with Paul George. You'll remember that Oklahoma City Thunder series, the first year Paul George was in Oklahoma City, and they lost to the Jazz. So there's that. Some people have said, I might or might not be one of those people, but some people have said Joe Ingles is the Paul George stopper. So if Kawhi doesn't get any help, maybe they get shot out of the series.
He could be the Kawhi stopper. So actually, Joe Ingles talks so much shit during the game. Like, he could get into Kawhi's head. Kawhi's could be like, nah, can't compute.
Too many words.
Yeah.
Too many words.
Also because he has a funny accent too,
Yeah.
Funny Australian accent. It's like,
what is he
probably don't get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Confusing. Very confusing.
You know how Americans they don't tolerate accents. So.
They don't do accent. But the funny thing is, just think, like, the one-man band that was the Mavs pushed the Clippers to 7 games. So imagine them all, like the number 1 seeded team in the entire NBA. You think they could be able to do a little bit more damage to those Clippers?
Well, not full strength.
Not full strength. Okay, fine. But what I'm saying is that those Clippers are so inconsistent. Like, you don't know which one you're gonna get. You don't know what team's gonna turn up. So that's where I'm not. We know what we're gonna get from the Jazz. We just don't know what Clippers you're gonna get. And I've said that in round 1. We don't know which one we're gonna get.
Well, but the thing I think now that yes, you're correct. They've been inconsistent during the season, but let's not forget that Kawhi played like 40 games, 30,
And I'm talking the first round, not the season, just the actual just first round against the Nets.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think that on the same note, let's just think that Kawhi and Paul George played 7 games together in a week and a half. So the chemistry is growing. They're feeling more like a team now. So I actually, think the Clippers can like have a better shot.
And they made adjustments. They made, despite Tom denying it, they made big adjustments in that series and made changes. You saw Rondo didn't play in the second half of Game 7. Terrence Mann played a lot more minutes, whereas he wasn't playing at all when the series started. When they went to their Boban starting lineup, the Clippers went small and stayed small. Adjustments were made, and that's the other thing that I think the Clippers have a bit more. Well, at saying that, the Jazz are very deep, but there's something about the way that the Clippers can change their roster a little bit that I think makes them a little bit more flexible.
Sure.
I'm not sure exactly what the Jazz would do if they had to play without Gobert at center, for example. Like if he gets played off the court somehow with shooting with a small 5-out lineup, Marcus Morris at the 5 or whatever, what would they then do when they match a small lineup? Are they able to actually adapt to playing a small lineup against a strong playoff opponent?
From the Rudy I know from the French team, he can, like, if you put somebody like Morris on him, like somebody who's smaller but not the quick, he's not the fastest guy, right?
Yeah.
He can still defend. He can still track those players. Not for the entire game, but he can still track those. It's more if you got like Tatum, like a lighter wing guy. Then of course.
I'm not saying Morris isn't going to dominate him, but what I mean is, if they go to 5 out and he's at the 3-point line and Gobert is guarding the 3-point line, then like they can just move the ball or get to the rim, and if he has to recover to the rim, then they're giving up an open shooter.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is that, we know Gobert can defend, but also in attack, Gobert is not a player that you can give the ball and he's going to create his own play, right? So Gobert can play the pick and roll regardless. If you have a small lineup, that means that you cannot defend them at all because Gobert only scores on pick and rolls. Yeah. So small lineup means Gobert buckets. Yeah, that's it. You can't defend him. And again, like you're not going to post him up. I don't think I've ever seen Gobert post up anybody. But pick and roll, top of the key.
But points. Then at a certain point, you're giving up 3s against 2s. And
sure. That means that the pace could completely change.
Yeah. And sometimes that you pay doing that. Because that's what happened at times with Boban as the big man in the Mavs lineup.
You get the buckets, but you're still losing because you're only scoring 2 points, right?
Yeah. And Reggie Jackson's killing you from 3. All right. Is everyone sticking to their predictions?
I'm sticking to 7. Yeah.
Stick.
Jazz.
Yeah. Nice stubborn bunch. We are. Have it. I want to be wrong, and I want to be wrong strong.
I know, right? It's that Trump mentality right there.
No, I will never be associated with that man.
Of course.
We head east to the matchup that gave me the most trouble in terms of predictions. Some people have picked this as their NBA finals before the NBA finals, and man, has it not lived up to the billing.
No.
Nets versus the Bucks. Brooklyn has taken a 2-0 lead, and it's not looking good for them. They lost by 39 points last night. And I think they lost by, what was it? Was
it 20 something the first game?
20 plus. 20 plus, yeah.
It was 115 to 92 or something like that.
Like 20. Is it 29?
They said 23. Yeah. Anything more than 10 is like a lot. Anyway, so
kind of stumbled out the blocks, didn't they? The old Bucks. Damn, they look like a deer caught in the headlights. Dum-dum.
Hey, jokes and a half.
Yeah, what a disappointment, man. Are you guys going to apply for the Bucks coaching job?
We could, we could.
What can you do though? What can you do?
Start prepping your CV. I think there are things that can be done. Because there's things that they've done wrong, right? I mean, in the first game, you don't expect Blake Griffin to hit 4 threes and lock up Giannis like he has. But I think the Bucks have gone away from the experimentation that they did in the regular season. They're still playing drop coverage aggressively. They're not switching with Brook Lopez. Brook has been playing down low, which they've stuck to, but they've put the ball back in Giannis's hands, and he's trying to create off the dribble again. And it's like, no, this doesn't work, especially when you've got someone that is actually D'ing him up one-on-one in Blake Griffin. They need to get back to experimenting. Go ahead.
I was reading this good article, and the guy had a point. They're saying is that you should play Giannis as a 5. He should be a center in that game. Like, why are you suddenly changing everything and making him bring the ball up and be this creator? You can't. It's not what he's supposed to do, especially against those Nets. It's got to set screens. It's got to roll. It's got to go to the basket and dunk. Like, he's dunking on everyone. Really, like, why are you changing this now? What are you doing? You know, why are you making him defend KD? Like, why?
So many buckets on his head top.
Oh, I mean, I understand, like, because he's got long arms, and you can try to think, okay, he can probably get in his face. But like, I'm more of my school of thoughts on KD is just let him score, like, to block the rest, just let him go. You know, there's no point in defending on KD. He's just a great, especially when Harden's not there. Like, sacrifice one player. You know, in what I mean is that you just sacrifice one defender. Put one guy there. You know, KD's going to score 50 or 60 on, and that's fine. Concentrate on the rest. You know. And then on the other side also, the Bucks only scored 84. They're supposed to be the best. Best offense, right? They scored what, 120? Is it 120 or 127 a game? Can't remember. Over 120.
They throttled the Heat.
Yeah,
and the regular season.
So I don't know. And the problem is what are the alternatives that the Bucks have, right? So you said Giannis played 5. That means Brook Lopez is out of the starting lineup. And Brook Lopez actually played really good minutes at the beginning of the game. You know, he scored a couple of threes. He's out there, like he's doing what he needs to do, right?
You can still put both on the floor. You can still put both on the floor and get both of them to be.
But then you have defensive liabilities there because they can't defend anybody. Like,
true.
You know, like. So
but then if they can score, Jose, if they can score like they did in the regular season, then it doesn't matter that the Nets are putting up 115, 120 a game because they can score with them. And they did that during the regular season. I think the fact that they haven't cracked 100 points yet is their biggest problem.
That's unbelievable.
Against the Nets defense.
And because their coach has slowed down the tempo. He's asked them to slow it down and play half court almost. And it's like, that's not how
and the problem is that the Nets can play either way. Like, it doesn't matter what you give them. Yeah. If you play half court, if you play a half court game, they're gonna kill you because they have Kyrie and Durant, right? And if they get double, you still got Joe Harris, man. You know, and Blake, who obviously, I think we ruled out Blake too early. All of us did. You know, I blame myself for doing that. Like, I said, this guy's done. You know, just having there to win a championship, but he's obviously has a lot to give still. You know, 4 threes, nice dunks, kind of defending. You know, so you can't really defend the Nets anyway, or try to change the pace because they're gonna murder you anyway. So I agree with both of you. They need to score. The best way to scare the Nets is to score and to try to score more than them because you're not going to stop them, right?
100%. You have to. I mean, if you're trying to play a defensive game against them, you're just going to lose. Their offense is like historically good. Some of
defense is not winning. Defense not winning the title this season. I think
it's not. No, 100% not.
It's not. That's the whole side. subject, right? That's a whole nother podcast for another day. Offense is definitely winning the day. You see what the Hawks are doing to the East, like Clippers, Mavs, like neither team was defending each other. It's just about who can fill it up, who can make the most threes, who can put more points on the board. And the Bucks are not putting points on the board. It's crazy. It is crazy to see. Both Middleton and Drew Holiday are shooting like below, I think, 40% on the series. It's ugly over there in that backcourt. And I mean, we don't really bring up money on this podcast, but they're both basically on max contracts.
They're getting paid.
They're both over 30 mil. I think they're both gonna earn 40 mil in the last year of their current contracts. That is a ton of money.
And they've earned it. They've earned it, right? Because they had good seasons in the past. They finished top 3 in the league for the past 3 years. Awesome. They played well. Middleton was an all-star. He actually won a couple of games on his own last playoffs. But when he's not showing now, I'm like, okay. Then you're proving that you're not an all-star, and your next contract is going to be a lot lower than this. You're going to be a role player. You're going to be a Rip Hamilton.
Right. But
sorry, Rip Hamilton was a lot better actually. Sorry, Rip.
That's NBA champion Rip Hamilton.
Yeah, you're right.
And this is an issue. This is a big issue because they're locked in. Like this Bucks team, the core of this Bucks team isn't going to change. So they need to step up. You're locked into those 3 players: Middleton, Holiday, Giannis. That is your future. It's not going to be easy to trade any of them, either because of age or because of performance. Like that's it. The coach can change, but man, the coach isn't gonna make you make threes. The coach isn't gonna make you not turn the ball over. The coach isn't gonna motivate you against this team.
I don't know, but the thing is, I don't know if it's a coach decision to get them to slow the pace down, because like if you look at the stats of the regular season stats, the Bucks outshot the Nets every single game by like 20 shots, something like on average per game, and they
put up more shots.
They put up more shots
because of low turnovers and offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and it's just absolutely mad. It could also be down to an adjustments from the Nets, but it seems like when you look at the Bucks from the regular season and the Bucks from the playoffs, there's 2 different teams. One seems to be just playing zone defense most of the time and just slowing it down, and the other one is just running everywhere.
Yeah, they play matchup zone, man.
Dude, that zone defense in the first quarter, I was like, what?
What are you doing
against the Nets?
You don't do that.
Why? How would you know? It's like the basic freaking principles of basketball. Don't do that.
3 of us are nothing even close of being coaches, professional coaches. Like the one thing
we shouldn't do that.
There's one team in the entire NBA that would be like, no zones. It's the Nets. Like,
it's the Nets.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly.
Such a ridiculous idea. And for him to do that, for Coach Bud to do that, rather than going to a Giannis at the 5 lineup, rather than going to a switching lineup, like, hello, it's like he's doing everything but the thing that's like staring them in the face to do.
But then also he said that he was resting the guys in game 1, resting the stars and stuff.
Resting them for what?
Exactly, resting for the post.
Same thing last year, man. He did the same thing last year. He was playing Giannis 35 or less,
in the playoffs.
He's already trying to manage the rest of the playoffs, but there's nothing to manage. Like,
maybe the coach wants to be traded, man. Maybe he wants to be traded. He's bombing the games.
Insane. I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it, because we were saying the opposite after the Heat series, right? They were doing all of these things that made us believe that they had changed.
Yeah.
And now it's just all undone. It boggles my mind. It really
and it makes
does.
no sense, because they won 4-0 against the Mavs. So they had the Mavs, the Heat. So there's a lot of resting time in between those games. It's not like they came in after 7 game series. It's not. It's absolutely not. So I don't know what he's on about with that. And I mean, he could have rested his starting 5 also in game 2, like when you're down by 50 or whatever. Just sit everyone, you know. But you know what the funny story is I woke up this morning and was like, let's see. Because I've obviously said Bucks and 6, which is still a thing. Still can happen, you know.
4 straight.
Just need 4 straight. We're there. But so I woke up and I turned my laptop on and I went, let's watch the highlights. Let's go. And then I cried. I was like, what the fuck is
out. Like really blown out.
So you think it's over then?
I mean, it's never over until a team loses on its home floor. But well, not over, but we don't know everything we need to know until a team loses on its home floor. But Matt, like, I was just thinking, we've said all of these things that have gone wrong for the Bucks and all of these things that have gone right for the Nets. There's still more. Landry Shamet threw down a dunk in the first game. Like, Bruce Brown's been excellent for them. Nash has smartly not gone to DeAndre Jordan at all in the playoffs yet. They're making all the right decisions on that side. And we've barely even spoken about the fact that James Harden is out indefinitely.
Well, I was actually gonna say, like, this probably works out in their favor, at least against the Bucks, because you need KD to like kill them, or maybe you don't, right? If you have Harden, you kind of like can split out. We're getting into clutch moments, and you have 2 of the best clutch players in the league, Kyrie and Durant, and they've improved themselves in the finals against the Cavs, tough team at that time for Durant, and against the Warriors for Kyrie shooting that 3. You know, like, so we're talking about players that will play out their absolute fucking best when they have the ball in their hand, and the 2 of them can share the ball. Just share it, split it by 2. Don't split it by 3. You know what I mean? So I think this kind of works out in their favor. They're not being challenged, so this is great for them. I agree. I was just thinking, like, the most disappointing thing is probably that Harden is not even playing. Maybe with Harden it would be crazy, but maybe this is better for the Nets.
Possibly.
It's like when a football team gets a red card, sometimes they play better at 10 than 11, right? That happens.
Different attitude? Yeah.
Different attitude. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just I need to keep it quiet on Twitter. It's fun. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good for the Bucks, but the good thing is there are clear adjustments that they can make, right? Yeah. It's not the end of the world. There are still things that they can do, still things that they can change, adjustments that they can make to turn this around. We just have to see it, right? We just have to see it. And Bud isn't known for making adjustments. I mean, I guess adding the zone was an adjustment.
Stupid.
Going point Giannis is an adjustment. They just happen to be bad ones, but maybe that means he's happy to experiment on the road, and when he goes back home, he'll try the right thing and try and get some switching defense out there. And put PJ Tucker back on Durant, man. He did a good job in game 1.
Yeah, no, he's all right. I know the highlights of him, landing on his ass, but again, that was funny. You know what they need? They need Coach Tibbs on the Bucks, so he'll play Giannis for 48 minutes. Boom.
He'll play him for 52 minutes.
Go get that rest.
Yeah, he'll have him in layup lines during timeouts.
52 minutes complete.
Yeah. So, man, are you gonna change? I mean, I had Nets in 6.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I had Bucks in 6, but I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go Nets in 5.
What a turnaround!
Wow. That's a turnaround. 360. Yeah, 180.
I think I had Nets in 6, so I'd probably make it Nets in 5. The Bucks might win 1, I think.
Yeah,
especially
the Celtics won 1.
But there you go. Yeah.
That's the spirit.
So,
Celtics got it.
like you just said, they can make some clear adjustments, and I think that can win them a game. But beyond, they're not going to win anything beyond that. Like,
I think the series is a no. The series is a no, but at least win a game, right?
Yeah.
At least win a game. God damn.
Sad. This was supposed to be the finals before the finals. So should we stay east?
Stay east.
Yeah, save some fuel. We want to be green. Don't want to travel back and forth.
I like it. Stay out of the ULEZ zone. So we stay east. 76ers versus Miami versus Atlanta Hawks. What a weird game.
Yeah, it was boring at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, right? Because it was so one-sided.
Yeah.
Trae Young put on a show, though, as did Triple H before the game. Coming out with the DX celebration, ringing the bell. And then, and Trae Young was like, nah, I dominate away crowds. He hasn't lost an away game yet. And he went out. Oh, wait. Did they lose game 2 or game 3?
What, against the Knicks?
Against the Knicks.
Wait, it was 2-1 at one point.
It was 3.
It's game 3.
I think it was 3. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah. So anyway, Trae likes playing against an away crowd. We know that much. The Philly fans were hyped into the second round, potentially going to win a championship. Everything was great. They'd only lost one game in the playoffs. Got the Wizards out of here in 5. And then they met that boy, Trae Young. And oh boy, that boy was cold in the first half. Guarded by Danny Green. Lots of people were like, why is Danny Green guarding Trae Young?
Wait. Guarded by Danny Green.
He was the primary defender.
Jesus Christ.
I wasn't mad at it, to be honest. I wasn't mad at it. I would have put Thibault on him. Started Thibault and put him there. But went with Danny Green. And did Danny Green get put in a blender? A lot of screens. And then faking towards the screen and pulling away. Hitting threes from deep. He carved them up just with such precision. 35 and 10. Trae Young.
I just feel like they kind of, they don't want to, I feel like they don't want to touch him, He's like, ooh, we're defending Trae, like, ooh. Well,
you get
and the same happen,
now, won't you?
Yeah, but this guy, what does he weigh? Like 180 with lots of coin in his pockets, right? And wet clothes, and lots of gel on his hair, and LeBron too. Those were heavy, So just kind of push him, man. Like play. He talks the big game. He plays like a big man. Defend him like a big. Danny Green defended LeBron James in the finals. Like come on, mate. Like I could say the same thing about Luka, because when they defend Luka, they were like, ooh, Wonder Boy from Slovenia, like, come on, man. Regardless, and, erase my comments, but, Trae Young is just amazing, though. He's scoring. He knows what to say. He knows what to do, how to play with that cautious defense. So, good on him, mate. Like, amazing. You could tell that Embiid is in pain. It was a clear play where he went for an offensive rebound, I think, and he landed on his right knee, and he was like, ooh. So I couldn't believe that he played for as long as he did after, coming, like he was not supposed to play. So I think that the Sixers can still turn this around, though. It's just a game. But boy, Trae does like to and he gets fueled by away crowds, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So here's your number one adjustment for the Sixers then. Empty arena, no fans, no fans. Just didn't get anyone in there. That's it. Number one adjustment.
Yes.
Like, don't get Trae Young hyped up. That's it. I think I've got a couple things like on the Sixers side. Like I think Ben Simmons mentioned it that he said they waited too young before making an adjustment on Trae Young. By the time they made that switch, he was already hot. So as you know, it's easier said than done. But like you can't let him get hot. That otherwise you're just done. Like why not get Ben Simmons or Thibault by the way on him? And even more so, I'd go. And I've seen it happen in Europe where you just give one of your player just a defensive mission on another player, as in I don't want to see you take a single shot. The only thing you do is play defense on that one guy. I don't want to see that guy take another shot out. You just relentless. Yeah, you've got 6 fouls. Use them. That's what they should do with Ben Simmons. He's not shooting. Simmons is inoffensive. If you know what I mean. Like he's not doing anything on offense. Sacrifice him on defense. Use him on Trae Young. Like get him to literally outplay, get him off the court, whatever. Just trying to disrupt Trae Young's offensive flow. That's all you should do with Simmons. And then when you need a bit of rest, you get Thibault on him, and that's it. You just don't put anyone else on the guy. It's just shocking. Yeah. You guys seen that play when Embiid is just literally shouting at Green for not pressing high enough? Did you see that? There's literally
is that the one when he got crossed over?
No, there's one play where there's like Trae Young. There's an inbound pass, and Trae Young's letting the ball roll all the way across the halfway line just to save the top.
Near the end. Yeah, near the end.
And you got Embiid going mad, like what the doing, like go and press him. And that was that. It's like they were too passive. There's just like a lot of players where they were just passive, and this is why I meet with horses. Like, why? I'm not saying go and injure Trae Young. It's like, but rough him up. Like try. The Knicks try and do that. It didn't really work. You can use that as a point of reference. But again, like it should be a long series. So if you do it a little bit in every game or a lot of it every game, then eventually you'll weigh him out.
Yeah, you gotta try it. You gotta try
it. You gotta try something. I'm not saying foul him and like hard foul him and injure him at all. But like there's ways of getting into someone's head, and that's when Ben Simmons comes into play for me. It's like you have to get him on there and try. The guy is super long. He's quite quick on his feet, so he could keep up with Trae Young.
I mean. The only problem with, and I think this went into their thinking with putting Danny Green on him, is whoever guards him is gonna have to be put through a bunch of screens. They run like a lot of the time, I don't know, 40% of their possessions or something like that. They run the Spain pick and roll, and that involves if you want to stay on Trae Young, that involves getting through 2 screens. That's a lot of work. Or
it's a lot of work.
Having people switch out onto him around those 2 screens. And there was I think 3 possessions in a row where they ran it from left to right. They almost always run it left to right. And I think the first one he got a 3 on. No, I think the first one he hit a floater or something like that on Embiid because he drove off of it. Second one he came around, hit a 3. And then the third one, he took a 3 and missed it, but it was a wide open 3. And every single time, it didn't matter whether it was Danny Green on him, Thibault on him, Simmons on him. It ended up being Trae Young versus Joel Embiid on his torn meniscus. And that is something that they are going to need to remedy, something that they're going to need to solve their coverages. And the good thing about that is they run it a certain way, right? It's a Collins screen followed by a Capella screen. You can game plan for that play.
Yeah,
it's a tough one. I mean, it takes a lot of planning, and it's another one of those pick your poison kind of situations, because you can't give Trae a second because he's going to shoot it, or if you put a big man on him, he's going to probably even shoot him as well from the logo, but also penetrate and drive and throw the floater in. But also Capella and Collins have been playing really well. They've been rolling well. Obviously, they're both very athletic and can jump really high. So if it's not a pass, it's the rebound from the floater. So it would take a lot of planning. I was just thinking about what would be the solution. Maybe don't involve Embiid at all in the pick and roll, just try to put him with a player that doesn't really do it. But then that will be a liability, because you have Bogdanovic, who's a fantastic player and shot a really nice 3-pointer at the end. And when he does play Gallinari as well, like Gallinari, who's I'm surprised.
Sorry.
Yeah, that haircut, by the way, horrible. But he's the old man Gallinari. He's still like got a lot of threes in him, and even a dunk the other day, like yesterday. On Sunday, that was amazing. So Atlanta has more weapons than we thought they did, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The one last thing though is it is true that how many threes have they scored? Like 20, something like that in that game.
I don't know, because obviously we didn't get to the second half of the game when they cooled off.
Yeah. It's that I think they scored 20 in the game, but and that's the one thing you can keep in mind is that they might not score such a high volume in this game too. And keep in mind the last minute of the game when the Hawks were up big and then suddenly there was like a 2-point game. That last minute was absolutely freaking mad. What's going on?
Insane.
It was
funny.
It was fun. Yeah.
It was funny. So if you're I'm not gonna say barely, but like because it's a performance to go and win on the Sixers floor, right? You have to go in there and win it.
Yeah.
But so it's a great performance. But what I mean is that there's hope there for the Sixers. They could have almost stole the game by playing, and by catching up to the Hawks in the last minute. They could have. Like, at one point, I was convinced they would do it. Like, it was one of those game like ending where there's an inbound pass that rolls on the Hawks player's foot, and then suddenly it's Sixers ball, and hallelujah.
Yeah. Everything that could have gone wrong for the Hawks did at the end, and then they were able to escape with the win. And I don't even know how I would play that from a coaching perspective. Like, do you still look at it as a narrow loss?
That's the thing.
I know it was a narrow loss, but that first half performance was so bad that part of me almost would still feel like it was a blowout. Like I'd be that pissed off as if we lost by 20.
Yeah. Even
though we got back in the game. I don't know. It's a funny one.
I'm just looking at the shooting stats. I'm trying to see if I can see.
It was you were right. It was 23s out of 47 for the Hawks.
Yeah. So it's quite.
But they've got shooters.
Almost 50% do have shooters.
Yeah. They've got shooters. I'm not surprised that happened.
Of course not.
I'm just surprised that the Sixers didn't defend it better. It's a funny one. Their bench got destroyed. That's another point of reference. The Sixers bench got absolutely destroyed. So it's going to be interesting how Doc Rivers goes with his rotations here on out. Because I don't think they can possibly play like bench only minutes, and no one should be doing that. I don't know why coaches think that's ever a good idea to have 5 bench players out at the same time, unless you have like some starter quality players on the bench, like a Joe Ingles, like a Jordan Clarkson, for example, right? But
Manu.
yeah.
So what was your prediction on that one though? Originally,
so I had this series being.
I got Sixers.
I
think 6 and 5.
I picked the 6s and 5, and I can still see that happening, to be honest. But the whole offense versus defense thing is giving me. It is scaring me.
I agree.
It is scaring me with this matchup in particular, and Embiid playing through pain. I guess he's going to be hit by it, but. Yeah, that's the only thing that scares me.
Hang on.
I don't know. Maybe Philly in 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I think Philly 6 is a reasonable prediction. Yeah.
I had Philly in 5, but it was against the Knicks. So I can easily swap that. Because I didn't make the change, obviously, I would join you with your Philly in 6. I think I'm comfortable with that.
Nice.
Yeah,
I agree. Still possible.
All right. So our last series is the. Ooh, we're going back west. I'm going back to not Cali. I thought I was going to Cali.
No one did.
Phoenix.
Arizona. Phoenix faced off against the Denver Nuggets and took a 1-0 lead on their home floor. Pulled away in the third and fourth quarters. Chris Paul hit some big buckets. And Michael Porter Jr. seemed to pick up a back injury over there. This is an interesting one for me because I had neither of these teams making the second round. So I get to reevaluate both of them and come in with a fresh perspective. And based on what I've seen so far, I think the Suns are the stronger team. I'm sure you guys aren't surprised that I think that. Because I just don't know how much further Joker can go ahead with this hobbled Nuggets roster. And if MPJ is going to be injured as well, that is so much firepower that they've lost. And he can't carry the scoring load all on his own, especially not against the Jokic stopper. That's right. I said it here first. The Jokic stopper, DeAndre Ayton. Check the math. Check the math. Check the math. Joker
Search
said it
within
himself.
your soul. Search within your soul, Jose. You know it to be true.
Well, hey, yeah. Amazing defense by Ayton, sure. Booker, effective as always. Paul, a general on the court. We're not surprised by that. What I'm surprised is the bad coaching decisions that Malone has made, and the particularly one which is trying to run against a team that is a lot younger, faster, agile, and not just because of that. It's because of Denver's star player is a guy that is a lot thinner than he used to be, but he's still heavy. Doesn't run too much. It's not quick. It's not fast. So you have to work for him. So stop the ball. Do not run. Pause the game. Pause the tempo. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, no, go ahead.
I think part of why he might have chose to do that is just because they just lack so many offensive weapons that they don't expect to get open looks, especially with the Suns not doubling Jokic. One of the things that they did was match Ayton's minutes to Jokic's, so he's just not. There's not going to be minutes where he gets to go off against like a backup center or anything like that.
Yeah. And I think obviously the Denver Nuggets' biggest problem continues to be their defense. There's no defensive rotation whatsoever. You can see open shots, open layups, backdoors. It's just painful to watch, at times. I think it's a massive hill to climb for the Nuggets. I still see them winning, but I see them winning in 7. Well, actually, I didn't have them against the Suns. I had them against the Lakers. So, I think they're gonna win in 7. But it's a massive hill. If we lose, like Nuggets fan.
Made in Denver.
Made in Denver.
Yes, the big D. If the Nuggets lose game 2, I will be seriously worried. But we spoke earlier on the other series about clear adjustments that they can make, and I think that just tighten up your defense and pause the tempo a little bit so Jokic can play a little bit better. That can make a difference. So we'll see.
So as the only person on this podcast that had the entire West prediction correct, hang on, let me just go back to my
Going back to that beautiful bracket.
Yeah, my beautiful bracket. It's pretty green on the left. Yes, nice. So I had the Nuggets in 7 though in the semifinals, and I'm starting to think because the Suns are just so good, so good, and there's there's two different dynamics going. Because obviously doing those predictions, it's you go with informations and what you have at the time, but there's the massive change in dynamics between the two teams, where I thought the Phoenix, like the Suns, were going and they're trying to do something against the Lakers, and I got it right 4-2 in 6, but there's something in them. There's a little extra sauce in the Suns this season. Like they on offense, they move the ball so well, and every time there's an issue and the other team starts to get back in the game, they find a solution, and that solution is usually Chris Paul, which is funny. It's something, like you watch the Lakers game, like when the Lakers were coming back, he had like 2 or 3 plays in a row when he just hit those long twos, and he managed to kind of get it out of reach, and he's done it. They've done the same.
Game one, he did, yeah.
Absolutely in love with Jay Crowder. I think he's just so underrated.
Hey,
oh my god!
What a big factor he's in. Like, remember Miami?
Same as last year. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And he can dance the salsa too.
Yeah. Did you see that?
The only player still in the NBA that can dance the salsa. Still in the playoffs.
Probably the only guy in the NBA to ever get a tech for dancing the salsa.
Salsa.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so here for it. Even as a fan of the opposing team, I was so here for it. And Chris Paul doing the whole
doing the 8, the other. What was? The Drummond.
Yeah,
that was great. That was great.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. You did it when you were up. We're gonna do it when we're up. I love it, man.
Yeah, of course. Now the Suns. I think I want to change my predictions. I had the Nuggets in 7, but I'm starting to lean towards like the Suns in 6 or something. Like
wow,
there's a good. I've got like a good feeling that they'll go on a run there. And Booker's just like the thing is, we were talking about the last week. We're talking about different teams having different weapons, and like the weapons the Suns have compared to the Nuggets is just, I think it's too much for the Nuggets to handle. And defensively, it's open day all day long with the Nuggets at the moment. So unless they can figure that out, but there's just so much on the Suns side and it's going well for them at the moment. Like they have everything goes for them, goes to the Suns. So it's a tricky one.
Rough. It is
it's rough. A rough one.
Yeah. And then you add the MPJ back issue, which further compounds things. It's not great. I think one thing that they can look to not happening again is Monty Morris's shooting. Like, he's normally a very steady player. He's not going to blow your socks off. I know he had that big 28-point or 29-point game when Dame was going off, but he shot 1 for 10, and that's just not what he does. Like, ever. So I think that can come back to the mean. And then you just kind of have to cross your fingers on MPJ's back. Like, this is the injury that made him fall in the draft. Well, not the injury, but the body part that made him fall in the draft. And I mean, if he can't go, this will be a very short series, I think.
And in terms of the defense, you had Mike Malone saying that they have to, because some media in the US said that they play, their defense is so soft, their attitude is very soft, and Malone said, well, I mean, he agreed to an extent. Like, for example, what was the stat? He said they've conceded 8 N1s on defense. Like, you can't just let them. You can of course foul them. Don't let them get them an N1. Like, that shows something.
That's again, like basic principles that you teach a 12-year-old, right? Like, it's and I spoke about this before when we were talking about Denver Portland in the first round. The attitude is just a massive thing for Denver, and they need to find it somewhere. And I mean, Jokic is not talking leader So you need to come from the bench, from the coach.
Yeah, for sure. But I just think they're undermanned and it's going to run its course.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because the Suns have a full roster. We're missing Murray and MPJ right now, potentially.
Exactly.
So
yeah. And God, what's his name? The small forward as well. Or is he a 2-guard? He might actually return this series. Why isn't his name on the team list? Oh, because he's injured. Oh my gosh, what's his name? Came from the G League. Now he's busting ass.
you lost me.
On the Nuggets
player. Yeah, Nuggets player.
Damn. Hang on.
What is his
Google
name?
for the rescue. Google to the rescue. Really?
What?
Which one? Who are you looking for? Jamal
name?
Murray?
No. There's another injured player on the Nuggets. He was injured in the bubble as well.
Will Barton?
I can't even.
No.
Will Barton. Thank you.
Yeah, Barton.
Why isn't he on the box score? Anyway, yeah, Will Barton's out as well. So that is like a ton of your perimeter scoring that you just don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. And they should lose, right? Like, I think it's great that they've made it this far. And just a shame that injuries occurred because I think with everyone healthy, Jamal Murray included, they were a real threat to go to the finals, I think.
It's a different story.
I was looking at them in the West and being like, that's a lot for LeBron and AD to deal with. That is a lot for them to deal with. And yeah, it's a shame we don't get to see them fully healthy because that would have been pretty awesome to see. But hey, I'm happy. I'm happy to see the Suns get some shine. Maybe Chris Paul will make his first ever Western Conference final. Ever.
Wait, didn't he for Houston? No? Was that semifinals?
Oh yeah, no. Sorry, Houston. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, the team that everyone forgot.
And
then he got injured.
And he got injured. Yeah. So technically, he only played one game, I think, or two. So it's fine.
Yeah.
The Rockets.
Yeah. So man, injuries. Turn them off.
Yep.
All right, that'll do it from us. Is there anything else to get to? I'm trying to think. No. Yeah. No. Yeah, there is, but we'll shelve it for another time.
Yeah.
We've run long enough. So those are our predictions. We did make our predictions, right? Suns in.
Yeah, I mean,
Suns in.
Denver in 7. Yeah. Can we all agree? Yeah, we all agree. Yeah.
No, I'm switching mine to Suns in 6. Suns in 6.
Turn off the recording, quick.
So, I like positivity.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll give them the extra game. We'll just go 6 just for the sake of it. Yeah, no, it's a wrap for them. So that will do it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Leave us a rating on whatever platform you listen to. Spotify, Apple would help a lot. Google will help also. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, click the bell, and leave a comment. Have a conversation with us. We'd be happy to chat. So from me, David Sagoe, from Thomas Arnal.
Goodbye.
And from Jose Garcia Vidal.
Ciao.
We're out of here.